My Twin Pregnancy Part 1, The Girl They Buried Alive. Chika had always believed that no matter how far life took her, home would always be there waiting for her. After 6 months away working in Ghana, she finally decided it was time to return home. She imagined her mother running into her arms. She imagined laughter. She imagined warmth. What she never imagined was discovering that her family had already buried her. The evening she arrived, rain fell steadily from the dark sky. With a suitcase in one hand, Chika stood outside her family house. Something felt strange. The streets were familiar yet unusually quiet. It was as if the entire town was hiding a secret. Ignoring the uneasy feeling in her chest, she walked toward the front door and stepped inside. The moment she entered the living room, she stopped. Flowers, candles, black ribbons. At first, she didn't understand what she was looking at, then she saw it. A framed portrait sitting in the center of the room, her portrait. Chika slowly walked closer, her heart pounded harder with every step. Below the photograph was a name, Chika Okafor, and beneath it were the dates, 1998 to 2026. Her breath caught in her throat. No! She stared at the picture. It was her face, her smile, her name. Someone had held a funeral for her. Someone believed she was dead. Before she could process what was happening, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned. Her mother stood frozen in the doorway. For a brief second, Chika expected happiness. Instead, her mother screamed. A scream so loud and terrified that it echoed through the entire house. "Get out!" Chika stared in confusion. "Mom, it's me!" But her mother backed away in horror. "No, my daughter is dead. What are you talking about? I'm right here." Tears filled her mother's eyes. "I buried you with my own hands." The room suddenly felt smaller. The walls felt closer. Chika shook her head. "No, that's impossible." Her mother continued crying. "They found your body. They identified you. We buried you 3 months ago." Body? What body? Who had they buried? Before Chika could ask another question, a familiar voice spoke from the hallway. "You really came back." Chika slowly turned, and the world stopped. Standing there was her twin sister, Chiemela, alive, dressed completely in black, watching her with cold eyes. "What did you do?" Chika whispered. Chiemela tilted her head. "I didn't do anything. You stole my life." "No," Chiemela replied calmly. "You left." "I never left." But Chiemela stepped closer. "No calls, no messages. One night you disappeared." Chika could barely believe what she was hearing. "I was working in Ghana." But nobody seemed willing to listen. Not her mother, not Chiemela, no one. For the first time in her life, Chika felt like a stranger in her own home. Then the front door opened again. A man entered. Kine, the man Chika once loved. Relief flooded her chest. Finally, someone who would believe her. "Kine!" She rushed toward him, but the moment Kine saw her, his face turned pale. Not relief, not happiness. Fear. "Chika," he whispered. "Kine, tell them it's me." Instead of answering, he stepped backward, and then he said the words that shattered her completely. "You're supposed to be dead." The room fell silent. Chika stared at him. "What?" Kine couldn't meet her eyes. "I identified your body." The words hit her like a truck. "No." The face matched. "No." The birthmark matched. "No." Everything inside her was breaking apart. She turned toward Chiemela, but Chiemela simply watched, silent, calm, almost as if she had expected this moment. That night, Chika couldn't sleep. Questions raced through her mind. Nothing made sense. Determined to find answers, she searched the house, room after room, drawer after drawer, until she discovered something hidden inside her old bedroom. A locked drawer. Inside were confidential documents, medical reports, psychological evaluations, and one file that immediately caught her attention. Twin Behavioral Project. Her hands trembled. She opened it. The pages contained information about 2 subjects. Subject A, Subject B, identity confusion increasing, long-term duplication, risk detected. "What is this?" A voice answered from behind her. "You weren't supposed to find that." Chika spun around. Chiemela stood in the doorway, holding a knife. Not threatening, not attacking, just holding it, watching. "What is going on?" Chika demanded. Chiemela stared at her for several seconds. Then she spoke. "You and I were never normal twins." "No, we were. That's what they wanted us to believe." Before Chika could respond, a loud knock echoed through the house. Both sisters froze. Slowly, Chika walked toward the front door. She opened it. A woman stood outside. Professional, cold, emotionless. Her eyes moved between the two sisters. Then she spoke. Subject duplication confirmed. Chika frowned. What does that mean? The woman stepped inside. You are not two people. Silence. Chika laughed nervously. That's ridiculous. But Chiemela wasn't laughing. The woman continued. You are one identity split into two bodies. Every color drained from Chika's face. The system is unstable. What system? Only one of you can remain. The room went silent. Chika looked at Chiemela. For the first time since she arrived home, both twins looked afraid. The woman folded her arms. Choose. The light suddenly flickered. The house went dark, and everything disappeared. But the biggest mystery is still unanswered. If Chika and Chiemela are actually one person split into two bodies, then who was the body that was buried 3 months ago? We'll find out in part 2. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it.